We are live. Sean Fowler here with Jansen Harris, the final play on the Just Good Network. Sean, we've been doing work all week. It's been a long week. Your thoughts on Carmelo Anthony signing with your Lakers, man? What's your thoughts on that?
Love it, man. I think I think we hung out a couple times this weekend and we kind of talked behind the scenes about it. I said, I want Carmelo. And before, I was like last year coming into the 2020 season, I was like, I'm not sure. I don't think we need Melo because we still had Kuzma. I still believe in Kuzma. He can possibly produce if he gets enough touches, whatever. But Kuzma didn't really have a great season, even after they gave him the huge contract. So to me, I think he perfectly substitutes for Kuzma. He can be that third or fourth option. Obviously, they got Russell Westbrook as well. Even though it was only one season, Russell Westbrook and Carmelo Anthony played together as well in OKC. When they lost 5 games against the Utah Jazz in the first round in 2018 playoffs, I believe. But the
Yep.
point is this, though, man. I think Carmelo Anthony. We both, we're both fans of his game, who he is as a player. He's definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he showed with Portland those 2 seasons he can still get you buckets. You know what I mean? He can still be efficient enough. I think he averaged around 14 to 15 points last year, per game. He's okay with the rebounds as well, and he's fine with coming off the bench. I know it's definitely has to be a humbling experience because majority of his career when he was just called Melo and not Carmelo, you know what I mean? Like he's that guy. He's the number one option. But obviously later in this part of his career, he's coming off the bench, but he can still give you points in high leverage moments. And that's what we need as a Los Angeles Lakers fan. And I say for Los Angeles Lakers, they need someone else they can also depend with the ball and closing minutes. And hey, coming off the bench, who let's be honest, if LeBron's coming off, one of the issues with the Lakers was their bench wasn't that strong last year. Kuzma, I just brought him in or mentioned him earlier. He wasn't really producing as much. So you have a Carmelo, a seasoned veteran coming off the bench who can still give you potentially 6 to 10 points, at least in that quarter, that single quarter. I think that'd be big for the Lakers.
Yeah, Sean, I agree with you. Look, this is what I like about your Lakers organization is when you guys don't go to the championship or you don't win, you guys are always aggressive. I have to
Right.
respect that. And Carmelo Anthony, he'd be one of my favorite players. I love to see him go to a true contender. I'm not saying that Portland wasn't a good team, but Portland was good, but usually out in the first round, out in the second round. Carmelo Anthony is with a Lakers team that is favored to go to the championship. They just made a trade for Russell Westbrook. And shoot, I might throw that in a little bit. But when I look at Melo on this team, I think he's a savvy vet. He could come off the bench. Him and LeBron James are best of friends. So I think they're going to play well together. They've both been in the league for so long. It just makes sense for this Lakers team. Anthony Davis, he's going to have to stay healthy. Frank Vogel, a proven coach. Now, Frank Vogel, guy got himself a championship. So if you're Carmelo Anthony, you have to be happy. You have to think, wow, I went from thinking I'm just going to be in the league, never winning a championship. I'm just happy to be playing with Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, and those guys in Portland. But now you could say, I legit have a chance. If I stay healthy, LeBron stays healthy, Anthony Davis stays healthy, this team could win the title. Who would have thought Carmelo Anthony would be in position to win the championship? Did you think, Sean, like a couple years back when he was out the league, that he'd be back and be in a position where he can win a title?
No, man, of course not. We were just advocating as fans. We think Carmelo should still be in the league. You know what I mean? And I remember one of the behind the scenes, one of the videos you love seeing Carmelo. He's like, give him the ball.
Oh, yep.
And it's like it's cool to see Melo come back, man. And I thought Portland at that time was a good fit for him. Again, he showed that he showed he could still play. And man, from what I've seen from him, man, it's not like it's just a eight points per game. Like dude can still ball. Like he can get hot too. You know what I mean? So again, it's really good to see Melo on a contending team on a contending team such as the Los Angeles Lakers. And I'm just excited, man. I believe he might wear number 7 like he did in his New York days. So I'm excited to see him play, man. I can't wait.
I can't wait either. Sean, do you feel like this Lakers team, because to me, the way I feel is they're hands down the favorite. I feel like if they stay healthy, Nets stay healthy, maybe the Bucks too will give them a push. Giannis getting a little bit older. This team has a lot of confidence, so maybe they'll see the Bucks. But I think Carmelo Anthony, this is just a perfect situation for him. I think Carmelo's going to get a lot of open looks. LeBron is going to set him up. I think the workload and practice load, he's going to be on load management. I think Carmelo gets about 15 to 20 minutes. I don't think that they're going to play him too much. They're going to save him for the playoffs. They're going to give him some isolation. Man, I can't wait to see how the Lakers finish this offseason, because they
Definitely.
came in with their mentality. We can't fail. We can't lose in the first round again. It's unacceptable. We can't have guys like Kuzma on the team not doing much. And they got rid of him. That's what I like about the Lakers. When you don't perform, you're not going to sit on that roster for a long time. The Lakers
Right.
want to regroup. They want to win as many championships as possible with the in his prime AD. And I don't know how you want to consider LeBron. Do you consider LeBron still in his prime? But either way, this Lakers team, I just love how aggressive you guys are. This is the best situation, I feel like, for Carmelo Anthony. I think it's a better situation than seeing him even with the Nets. Being with his friend in LeBron, a guy who's won 4 championships. Anthony Davis got a ring. Frank Vogel, he finally got that chip over his shoulder, off his shoulder, and won a championship. Man, Sean, your Lakers, shoot, big things are happening for you guys. Big things are happening.
Very excited.
One more thing before we move on to Trae Young signing his extension. Your thoughts on that, if he deserved it? The Lakers, obviously early favorite. Do you feel like the regular season they'll come out aggressive at all? Do you think that even matters going for the title run, or because we saw what happened this season?
Well, they got a lot of different alphas on the team now, man. You got a Russell Westbrook. He's playing the same game 82 as he is the first game of the season. So I mean, as far as the Lakers being last of day school, they're going to have more time off. Obviously, it's still going to be somewhat of a condensed off season because the season started in December. They end up finishing around what, June, the first round of playoffs. So the season starts again. They already got summer league games tonight. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So the season comes back in, I believe, in October, October, like annually, like it usually did. But the Lakers, no, man. I think they're going to come out and try to at least compete in every game. You have Russell Westbrook on the team, so he's going to have a different motor. And the thing I like about the signings of Jansen is that for LeBron, he's going to be playing off the ball more, and we understood at first. We talked about again behind the scenes. Russell Westbrook, LeBron. I wasn't too fond of it at first because their styles are somewhat similar, and LeBron is usually the point guard on the team essentially. You know what I mean? He's the one orchestrating the offense. Even though you might have a Rajon Rondo or shooter, but sometimes those guys, Rondo might be coming off the bench and facilitating, which is why I really like Rondo as a fan for the Lakers because you still getting that chemistry as a point guard off the bench. But with Russell Westbrook, the good thing is again, it's giving LeBron more time to be off the ball. He doesn't have to, necessarily orchestrate the offense the whole game. And also, I mean, hey, if he does want to low manage, if he needs to take a couple of games off, you still have a Russell Westbrook. You still have different combinations. Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis at the same time. Obviously Carmelo Anthony. Russell has experience with him, even if it's just 1 year at OKC. So you got a lot of different combinations that you can really mess with the Los Angeles Lakers, man. Dwight Howard coming back, a big physical guy down the post. So I'll say to answer your question, man, I think, yeah, I don't think they're going to come in last days going to act like, the chip is ours because, hey, Russell Westbrook doesn't have a chip. He wants one. He hasn't played in the finals since he was like 22 years old against Miami in 2012 against LeBron. So it's some guys on that team that's really eager to win a chip. Chris Dunn, they just got him as well. So I don't think the Lakers are just going to play around because the West is still tough, man.
Sean, I'm glad you brought up Dwight Howard. I could just see it in transition how fast Russell Westbrook is getting down the court, alley-oop to a Dwight Howard, who again, Dwight Howard was a key on that Lakers team, and you thought they should have kept him. So I think that avenue, if AD stays healthy, I could see a lot of Russ getting in the paint, little floater alley-oop type of thing. Him and LeBron in transition, that's going to be unstoppable. LeBron James and Russell Westbrook in transition.
It should be
Both
awesome.
of them could be primary ball handler. It's a lot that's going to go into this Lakers offense.
Right.
Let's transition to Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks. First of all, we still have to see what happens with John Collins if he gets his max contract. First, we were hearing $90 million. Then now we're hearing a 5-year deal worth $125 million, and John Collins wanting more money than that. Feels like he's worth more than $25 million a year. But before we get to this Trae Young thing, let's talk about his team. And is John Collins worth $25 million a year, Sean?
I mean, he had big moments in the playoffs last year. I remember against Philly, dunking over Joel Embiid. And just he had his moments. I mean, for the Hawks, it's like obviously Trae Young. Trae Young is the leader of the franchise. He's definitely the best player on the team. When you go down the list, I guess you mentioned John Collins next. Clint Capella. Clint Capella had his moments as well, but I mean, it really depends on the team, man. It's just like I don't want to get too much off topic with the NFL. It's like certain quarterbacks going to pay a lot of money. Are they worth that much, or are they worth that much towards the team? You know what I mean? So for Atlanta Hawks, I mean, maybe he is worth more than $25 million a year. He might not be a top 10 even power forward or small forward in the game, but for the Hawks and the chemistry that they have with a young team. Under Nate McMillan, maybe he is worth that much for the Hawks. So
It's
realistically,
tough.
I mean, I don't think he is, but at the same time, for the Hawks, I mean, hey, I don't blame them if they do sign him, but you can always find somebody else.
Yeah, if he gets $25 million, he needs to sign that deal. Because to me, there was games against even the Sixers. There was games against the Bucks where he disappeared. He
Yeah,
didn't look like a max player. I feel like sometimes when it's iffy like this, it's weird because on paper, I don't think he's worth that max contract. However, because of his age, he was talking about how he expanded his game, which he has expanded his game, and he's an important member on this core Hawks team. I do want to see him back with the Hawks. However, I don't see them giving him more than $25 million. I don't think he's worth $25 million. I hate to count a guy's pockets, and it is a 50-50 situation here in Atlanta. And there was times where I've seen him play and say, hey, maybe he is worth the max contract. But right now, if I'm being honest, Sean, John Collins is not worth the max contract. A guy who is Trae Young, 5 years, $207 million deal. There was a lot of haters of him coming into the league. He's proven to be one of the best players, helping
yeah,
get this Hawks team to the Eastern Conference Finals. Remember, before this season, they were saying, can Trae Young bring his team to the playoffs? And he brought his team deep into the playoffs. They beat the Knicks in 5 games. A couple games they won in New York, which people didn't think that was going to happen. A lot of people picked the Knicks. And then the destruction in Philly, seeing what happened in Philadelphia, defeating the Sixers on their home court. That was outstanding. And you see what's going on with the Sixers now. They want to trade Tobias Harris. They're trying to trade Ben Simmons allegedly. What happened? It looks like the Sixers could be done, and they were looked at as a team that could make a deep run in the playoffs. They were looked at as a team that was going to be better than the Hawks. So every penny was earned for Trae Young leading his team. The sky's the limit for this squad. We understand that the Nets are going to be there, the Bucks, the Sixers are going to be there, the Knicks, a
Miami
couple
possibly.
other teams are going to be in the mix as well too. But the Hawks definitely have that young core, and I'm glad they signed their best player to great money, $207 million that it ultimately can come to. And you got to think he stays healthy, keeps playing well, he'll get that second $200 million contract. And shoot, the way these contracts work, maybe in the 230, 240 range at the time that comes up. What's your thoughts, Sean, on Trae Young and this contract?
I think it's great. I mean, it's almost a no-brainer, especially seeing how the Hawks went from can they make the playoffs? I remember it was early last year, Jansen, after the first like 30 games of the year, 35 games of the year, we were like, the Hawks are going back and forth, with the East so mumbo jumbo. The Hawks are technically in the 5th seed, you know what I mean? But they definitely showed up, man. And I think the thing I like most about the Hawks was Trae Young said, we're just fearless. We don't care, Everyone, like you said, everyone's saying it's going to be in New York. It might go 7, but the Knicks are going to take home Knicks in 7. No, Hawks in 5. You know what I mean? And it was cool to see Just Trey Young and that young organization ran by Nate McMillan, just be like, hey, we don't care. If our backs against the wall, we're just going to keep playing until the final whistle blows, to the final horn blows, and that's what they did. We seen them. I think it was with Game 5 and Game 4 against the 76ers, where they had big deficits. They had big deficits, and they came back, led by Trey Young, Cam Reddish, and those guys, man. So it was good to see, man, and then we seen Eastern Conference Finals. The game 1, they won the first one as well, and went 6, and they tried, and Trey Young got hurt, but I think he definitely deserves a contract, and it's good to see the Hawks, such a young team, get that experience in Eastern Conference Finals, man, because hey, the more experience they get, and the more chemistry that they continue to get, ran by Nate McMillan, like you said, they could definitely be a top 3 team at least in Eastern Conference. So he definitely deserves a contract.
Absolutely. Jansen Harris here with Sean Fowler with the Just Good Network. We're presented by Your Future Media. For all media purposes, visit Your Future Media. Got Skills Pro for assembly and handyman purposes. Visit gotskillspro.com in the Atlanta area. Sean, I wanted to throw this one at you. One of my favorite quarterbacks to play just retired. This story came out. I don't know if you've seen it. I know I'm messing up the structure a little bit, but to the NFL, Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers, 39. He said he would possibly be interested in returning to the NFL. Do you see a comeback, or do you think he should just stay retired? He says he's lifting weights and staying in shape.
It's cool because this is probably the first quarterback. It's probably the first quarterback we've got in a while that's having that itch. He just played last season. So he's retired, yes, but it's technically, he did just play last season. You know what I mean? So if you're staying in shape and whatnot, he still has it. But realistically, you just got to think of the teams. Who would you trust him over Teddy Bridgewater at this point? He had a so-so season last year. He led the Colts to the playoffs. Lost in the first round against the Buffalo Bills in a wire-to-wire game. But it depends what team really needs a quarterback. I don't think there's a lot of teams desperate for a quarterback, especially after this draft class with Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson. So a lot of these teams got their proven quarterback already. So it really depends which team really needs one. Only one I can really think of is probably the Broncos as of right now. Saints trust Jameis. I would too, more than Phillips. So, yeah, I would, man. I think it's time for Jameis to have his chance. You don't want to. Since I mentioned that team, you don't want to go from one older quarterback to the next when you just got Jameis and Taysom. So I just can't really think any teams off the top of my head that would need a Phillip Rivers as of right now.
I think Phillip Rivers, I would be excited for a return depending on the situation. If Phillip Rivers could go to Washington, I think he could be productive there. Phillip Rivers maybe come back and compete in Miami with a great defense. Maybe he's a better option than Tua. I could see Phillip Rivers coming back and maybe playing for the Steelers. How about that one, Sean? Do you think he's a better option than Big Ben, and when Big Ben retires, here comes Phillip Rivers back? I'm back. Headlines at 40.
Well, for Pittsburgh, no, because Big Ben already said I'm gonna take a pay cut. So now you bring this unretired guy that's a year older than me, and you think you could play better? It'll just bring unnecessary drama in the locker room. To me, you never know. You never know with the NFL. But
I got another option for you, Sean. How about the New York Giants with Saquon Barkley and those guys? How about that?
Hey,
the Giants need some quarterback help.
If he's thinking halfway through the season or quarter of the season, 4 games, why not go to?
Yeah, they can call these guys off the couch, right?
They do.
And injuries. There's a 17-game season, so I think. And that's a great idea. And if it's possible, look, I could see Phillip Rivers maybe going to a team that really good defensive play. If somebody goes down, Sean,
go back to the coach.
There you go. Carson Wentz. If Carson Wentz continues to show that he's injury prone, he gets hurt again, why not pick up the call? And the guys have been called off the couch. I remember watching Jet games. Vinny Testaverde came back a couple times. Unfortunately, he was old. He was in his 40s, but they called him off the couch. Same thing. Rivers on speed dial.
I guess you're right.
If they keep him on speed dial, look, the 39-year-old maybe come back and play. Maybe it's wishful thinking.
He's a tough guy too, though. He's a tough guy. So, yeah, why not? Why not?
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's move on, Sean, back to the NBA. Steph Curry, the first player in NBA history to sign two $200 million contracts. Total money's $215 million. Looks like he's on vacation too, chilling with the babe on Instagram. I see it, man. It looks like they're having a ball. Looks like
Yeah,
they're having a ball celebrating this contract. Well deserved. You're looking at a guy who won 3 championships, changed the way the league is played today with his 3-point shot. I don't even have to explain myself how good Steph Curry is. This was a no-brainer, but congratulations, being the first player, not Mike, not LeBron, not Kevin Durant, but Steph Curry,
yeah.
first one to sign two $200 million contracts, 215 to be exact. Don't want to mess up the man's money. Sean, your thoughts on Steph Curry and his contract?
Again, well deserved. He's a great dude on and off the court, it seems. And he's again, like you said. I mean, last year he was healthy for the whole season and for majority of the season. And they almost they got in a playing tournament, and he looked like old Steph Curry, man. It was only playing the 5 games in 2019 season. It was a lot of people saying, I don't know, Steph lost he lost his touch just a little bit, but no, he still showed that he's the best point guard in the game, and I'll give it to him. You know what I mean? And he's still the best shooter of all time, and with Golden State having him, you can't ever rule them out. Because if Steph Curry's going, if he's on fire, if he's going crazy. I mean, this team can really compete against anybody because if he's hitting 10 and 11 threes in a game, and then you still have Draymond and that championship, pedigree, the championship mindset, especially that they have a Steve Kerr, man. The Warriors can always be dangerous, So Steph Curry definitely deserves that deal, and yeah, I'm happy for him. Why not?
Want to say this too. If Steph Curry and this Golden State team, if they don't make any moves in the offseason, Sean, expect him to be one of the leading scorers in the NBA. I will say this. I think he could lead the league in scoring next season at average about, let's go with 34 points a game. I think Steph Curry getting that contract, that's my hot take on it. Getting that contract, the way he, yep. We're going to take this clip. We're going to look 34 points a game. Steph Curry might be able to do that next year. Kind of compete with Damian Lillard off for the scoring title and maybe a Kevin Durant. But I think he's capable of doing that. I think this money is going to continue to motivate him. He wants to be a 4-time champion. Klay Thompson should be back as well, too. We'll see how that plays out. But Steph Curry is definitely capable of winning the scoring title next year. He'll be up there. Dame will be up there. Kevin Durant will be up there. But yes, man, it was great to see him get his money. Do you see this Warriors team making a big trade, bringing somebody else in here, or do you think they're just going to have the roster that they have right now?
I mean, it's still a lot of offseason left. I want to be shocked. I heard rumors that Kawhi Leonard might join the Golden State Warriors.
Oh man,
Kawhi might join them. That would definitely put them right there with the Lakers. I would say if that were to happen. But like I said before, man, I think the Warriors organization and them still having their big three as far as Steph, Klay and Dre. You know what I mean? If Klay can stay healthy, man, this team is still, to me, Western Conference potential at least. Because Draymond Green, he's been kind of healthy and he's on the USA team. He's not what he once was, but again, it's always about having that mindset. And if this team can make the play-in tournament without Klay last year and a host of injuries, imagine when Klay comes back and if he's at least most of what he was. So I think the Warriors, man, big trades. I'm going to be surprised if they try to, but at the same time, I always think they're a threat in the Western Conference, with or without big trades. So.
Absolutely. I just feel like the Warriors, it's like it shifted away from them once LeBron got to LA and Kevin Durant left. I just feel like that championship window, it seems like it's closing and closing. But hey, they won it while they did. When Kevin Durant was on the team, they did what they had to do. Steph Curry, being the master leader that he is, he was able to defer a little bit, but it seemed like the chemistry was right. But again, this Golden State organization, like you were saying, Sean, I would not be surprised if they make another move. This team is aggressive. We both know that right. They are an aggressive team and that's looking to get better in a stacked Western Conference with the Jazz. They're good. The Suns, they're going to come back and try to make some noise. It's going to be tough. It's definitely going to be tough in the Western Conference. But again, with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson coming back, Draymond Green with his defense, his leadership, his toughness, Wiseman, the young censor,
Yep.
he the sky's the limit for him. Let's see what happens. Sean, Spence Pacquiao's the 21st. You're excited for this fight. I'm excited for this fight. How do you see this playing out?
Well, they're both definitely champions, man. Errol Spence 26-0, 21 knockouts. Manny Pacquiao over 60 victories, I believe, in his career. I don't even think he has 10 losses, man. And he looked brilliant 2 years ago against Keith one-time Thurman. And Errol Spence, he looked brilliant against Danny Garcia. I tried to tell you, how he's gonna look good, but nah, man. They're both southpaws, so I think it's gonna kind of be a filling out process, man. But I think definitely this can be a fight of the year, man, because Errol Spence, his last couple fights have been action packed. I said against Danny Garcia, Sean Porter went down to the wire into the 11th round when he dropped him. Even a Mikey Garcia fight, he just bullied him. He just bullied him and just kept hammering home. So with Manny Pacquiao, we don't, his fights are always aggressive. I think in order for him to be victorious, he's going to have to, Spence has a reach, and Spence is a naturally bigger guy. I think he walks around at 180. So in this fight though, I think Pacquiao's just going to have to, lunge and do what he normally does, be aggressive, but also, be smart, because Keith Thurman, we both agree, Jansen, that in that fight, it really could have won either way. Could have won either way if he didn't knock him down the first round, But Pacquiao was aggressive most of the fight, and he landed when he needed to. But he got caught too by one time, So if he gets caught by Spence, I mean, hey, I don't know if there's a big difference between Spence and Keith Thurman's power, but if that's the case, if he gets caught by Spence, I don't want to see Pacquiao get knocked down or knocked out again. So I think the fight's definitely going to be a must see. I think it's going to live up to the hype that it should. And I'm excited, man. But I think I got Spence, man, by decision.
If I'm Spence, I'm looking at this fight. This is your Oscar De La Hoya versus Floyd Mayweather. This is your Oscar De La Hoya versus Manny Pacquiao. So you know where I'm coming from with this, Sean. If I'm Spence, you got knock out Pacquiao, put him in retirement. That's the goal. Knock him out. If you can knock out Pacquiao, let's say ideal situation, within 8 rounds, do you know what that does to your career? Look, Spence, and give him credit. Spence, what I like about him is, and you've seen some of the interviews with Keith Thurman. Back when Keith Thurman was the bigger name, he says Keith Thurman refused to fight him. So what does Spence do? He could have cried about it. He went out there. He fought. You saw what he did with Kell Brook, winning the championship, messing Kell Brook up. You saw what he did in the fight with Sean Porter. Tough fight, but he did what he had to do, knocked him down, won that fight. Fight before that, I almost forgot to mention, Mikey Garcia. He was undefeated at the time. Yes, he jumped up a couple weight classes, but it is what it is. He was a high-class fighter. A lot of people had him top 10, top 12 pound for pound. He beat him too, another high-profile fight. Then Danny Garcia. He made Danny Garcia look like he wanted to quit. Right. So what Spence does is he stays active. He's not sitting here crying about, oh, well, this guy doesn't want to fight me, or the Terrence Crawford situation. He goes on to the next big fight. So Spence, I don't think he's ducking and dodging anybody. I think there is going to be opportunities in this fight when Pacquiao comes forward, him being the bigger guy, to knock out the 42-year-old. There is going to be opportunities. So I think for Spence, you have to look back at when Pacquiao was young and beat De La Hoya, when Floyd Mayweather Jr. was young and beat De La Hoya, how this could help your popularity. I think if Spence gets that knockout victory, don't be surprised, Sean. You start seeing some of those paydays go up from 10 to 15 million. We might see paydays like that for Spence, and maybe work its way from the 15 to 20 million dollars if we could see him get in the ring afterwards with the Terrence Crawford. So Spence right now has the leverage. He was able to pull this fight away from Crawford when Crawford had opportunities to get this fight when Pacquiao was on top rank, and even when Bob Arum allegedly still was negotiating this fight, they couldn't make it happen. Right. And for Manny Pacquiao, from his side of things, he feels like, look, Keith Thurman might be as good as a fighter as Errol Spence Jr., just not as active. Yeah. When was the last time Keith Thurman doesn't fight? He's always either hurt or he's having a baby. I understand all that, family situations, but he doesn't fight like that.
Right.
But I think there's thinking that Manny Pacquiao feels he wouldn't take the fight, and fighters are saying this, he wouldn't have took the fight, Sean, if he didn't feel like he could beat Errol Spence Jr. Because he could have fought Crawford.
Yeah.
Maybe he could have did the rematch with Keith Thurman. I would want to see the rematch because Keith Thurman was winning some of those later rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I like some of these rematches. Keith Thurman could do a lot of different rematches. I'm hearing Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, Manny Pacquiao. I can see those rematches.
Right.
But if I'm Manny Pacquiao, like you said, I stay aggressive. I use my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And Sean, people don't talk about this, but let's talk about big fights. Manny Pacquiao has fought on this level so many times. Huge pay-per-views. Yes, Spence has had the 3 pay-per-views under his belt, and those are all worthy opponents, but he's ever fought somebody with the experience and the resume of Manny Pacquiao. Right. He never has. But Manny Pacquiao has fought guys with that type of experience.
That's true.
In bigger pay-per-view events. He's been there, done that. So if I'm Pacquiao, you have to start quick. You have to make him feel your speed if the speed advantage is still there. It's going to be a tough fight. I think Spence has the advantage in this fight. It's hard. It's hard because I want Manny Pacquiao to win, but it's hard to pick against Spence.
Yeah.
But I'm picking the upset. I think Manny Pacquiao is going to upset Errol Spence Jr. Will it likely happen? Probably not.
Right.
But I'm going with the guy I want to win. I want Manny Pacquiao to win the fight. More than likely, Spence is going to win.
Right.
Spence is going to win via decision. Mm-hmm. But I just gave you how both guys I feel like are looking at this fight. But I wouldn't be surprised if Spence Jr. wins this fight. I wouldn't be surprised if it's close the first 5 rounds and then Spence kind of starts pounding him. And then the referee's like, Pacquiao, do you still want this beating? I could see that. But I also could see Manny Pacquiao coming out being maybe too fast for Spence. I think this is truly a great pay-per-view. This is truly a fight the fans are going to want to see. Sean, I'm excited. I wish the fight was today.
Can't wait, man. I can't wait. 2 more weeks, man. 2 more weeks.
Absolutely. 2 more weeks to that big fight. Sean, thanks for joining me. Final play, Just Good Networks. Me and Sean, we do things all the time. We're going to start going live more. Love breaking all this down. Shout out to Your Future Media. All media purposes, visit Your Future Media. Y'all Socks. Got Skills Pro. Assembly and handyman purposes. GotSkillsPro.com. In Atlanta, you need some work done. Go book your appointment today. Sean, man, we got to do this more.
Listen, I'm going off script real quick. 60 seconds. How do you feel about your Jets, man? Training camp, football season's coming back. How do you feel?
Look, I like how the Jets are looking. Okay. I like how the Jets are looking, Sean. I think the expectations is probably 6-7 wins. They look good in shorts right now. No point to that. They're looking good right now in shorts. They're moving around. The defense is flying around. New head coach. Wilson, we'll see. Okay. We'll see. We'll see. Zach Wilson. We'll see. A lot of hype around him. He's a cocky guy from what I hear. Hopefully get some wins together. I think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the division. But I think the Jets 6-7 wins this season. I like the energy so far. Hopefully they get a running game behind him. Hopefully these wide receivers could get open. We made a couple moves in free agency, and I think this Jets team is definitely going to be better. They're going to do better by Wilson than they did Sam Darnold for sure.
Robert Saleh as well. Robert Saleh as well is a coach, so it's going to be interesting, man. I just want to ask you that, man. But
no problem. It should be an interesting season for the Jets. Hopefully they toughen it up. I think toughness was questions when Gaze was the coach. Yeah. So I have to question that with the Jets. They got to be a tough team. They got to be a tough team. Run the football, stop the run, and get a consistent passing game for once. Protect the quarterback. So if they can do that, Sean, then I like the Jets' chances to get 6 or 7 wins. Okay. But yeah, man, appreciate the question. Another great broadcast. You guys share this, like it, tell us your thoughts, inbox both of us, ask us questions, and we'll mention it on the next show. Jansen Harris, Sean Fowler, final play on the Just Good Network.